Hello, welcome to This Is Me, Speak Your Truth. I am super excited today because I have my own mom on the podcast. She's like the first kind of main official person I'm interviewing. So welcome. What is your name?
My name is Sandy Whitehead, and I'm Casey's mom.
So you have to get your full name, like official, like an interview.
It's Sandy.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. I'm super excited. So today I thought we would chat about because you're my mom, you've known me for what, 39 years. I wanted to chat with you just about your kind of like life upbringing in regards to your fitness and nutrition journey and kind of healthy lifestyle that you've started now. But we're gonna go way back and then we'll get started. And I have a bunch of questions. I wrote them down because I didn't want to forget what we're talking about today. So first question, I guess, for you is when you think about your relationship with food and your body over your life, where did your story kind of start?
I believe it was after having my two children. Had a daughter in 1984 and another one in 1986, which is you. And I believe when I was pregnant, the doctors back then advised pregnant women not to only fuel myself with food, but also the fetus I was developing in my stomach. They didn't talk about working out during a pregnancy. And after the birth of my two children, I never got my body back into shape. So here, almost 40 years later, I still have my belly fat that I've carried for so many years and to this day.
Yeah, and I think back then too, with all the new information now, I don't think like doctors were really taught nutrition or post-pregnancy like fitness or those guidelines of what to give women. So it's nice now that we have people that are learning more in the industry to help give guidance that way. So thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. If you were to tell your story to your younger self, what would you want her to understand first?
Probably that I should have been so much more aware of what pregnancies do to a female's body, and how it changes so many aspects, not your diet, your metabolism, and what I should have been doing through those pregnancies, like you just mentioned, with the doctor's help, which they probably know so much more about today. Because back in my day, with both my pregnancies, I gained over 70 pounds each time.
Wow. And then, yeah, to go from that big shift to try to lose that again, right? Like, I know
Exactly.
I gained 55 pounds with Braden, but yeah,
Wow.
70. Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of weight, especially when the baby comes out and it's only 6 pounds. It's a lot of
Yeah,
weight to
you're
be
like, where'd all
losing.
the other weight come
Yeah,
from?
exactly.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, how would you describe your relationship with food or with your body and stuff in your 20s and 30s?
Um, this was a hard question that you asked. And I guess what it was most of all is I was so just disappointed in the way I personally looked. When I looked in the mirror and I saw myself out of shape and that I was just fat. And this is when I began to fantasize about being thinner. And it wasn't about being healthy or going to a gym. I wanted a quick fix to look and feel better about what I was seeing in the mirror. And that started this whole journey of me wanting to diet and yo-yo dieting and quick fixes, which is not the answer.
Yeah. And I think like because obviously I didn't know you before you had kids, but you were like kind of like a lot of people back in that generation, all the food was different and processed differently in what we ate. And so everybody was leaner because people were more active and doing things. And then you don't realize for 9 months your body's going through huge transformations. And then you have your kid and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, you don't even recognize your own body anymore, right?
No, and even to this day, I'm still struggling with that image in my head, right? And that's what I'm now trying to change.
Yeah. I think you're not the only one that probably, like all pregnant moms afterwards, don't recognize their body with stretch marks and their stomach and wanting to have their body back the way that it was, but knowing it may not happen, and that's okay too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so you mentioned like yo-yo quick fixes. What were some of the first diets that you remember trying, and what made you decide to start them?
Yeah, so I did Weight Watchers Nutrisystem, Jenny Craig. Um, and with Jenny Craig, they are prepared meals. So all you're doing is adding your fruits and vegetables into that. Um, I was seeing pretty quick results with Jenny Craig, which made me emotionally happy, but it took time and you still plateaued then, which made me emotionally sad because it didn't I never got past that, and I never ever got to the maintenance program on any of these diets that I tried. Um, Even with Weight Watchers, where you're cooking your own food and stuff, you saw very little progress, which for me, again, I was looking for that quick fix. And when I didn't see the results, I just went, oh, it's not working, so stop. And then I think when you do these quick fixes, your body goes like, what are you doing? And then you just start maintaining the fat all over again. So it's just that huge vicious cycle that you're going through over and over again.
Yeah, and I think a lot of programs, the goal is to like get you signed up, and then once you're there, like you have to follow their system or protocols or whatever because they want to keep you paying and buying their product, right? They're not
Right.
teaching you the habits to instill to be like, okay, like after 6 months you're done, you don't need us anymore. It's to keep you there. And someone had mentioned to me too recently that they felt with those programs they go in and it's like they were set up to fail going in there because you go into your weekly check-in and if you didn't hit the right number on a scale, you just felt absolutely defeated instead of celebrating all your successes and your wins for that week.
Yeah, Jenny, with Weight Watchers, yeah, it was just sort of a weigh-in, and then you had the meetings afterwards. There was never really one-on-one counseling, whereas Jenny Craig, you did get that one-on-one, and I never felt the counselor was upset with me. They always worked with me, but it was more me coming out of there going, "Oh, I failed again because I gained 2 pounds this week." So again, just that cycle of not succeeding.
Yeah. And I think maybe correct me if I'm wrong, like focusing on just like the scale number, like each week, knowing if the
Oh
scale
yeah,
goes down.
since when we'll get into it later in the cast, but I have always been a scale. Every time I eat a meal, I get in on the scale. How much did I gain this time? And it's deflating to your ego and your self-confidence every time.
Yeah. And when you're tying your identity to a number, right? Instead of everything else that could be going on for physically like getting better for you. So when you
Exactly.
finished like those trying all those different programs and the weight came back, how did that make you feel?
Awful failure. I felt like I was destined to always carry this excess weight and fat.
Hmm.
Very short answer on that one. Sorry.
No, 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 that's totally, I
Yeah.
think so many people can feel the same way. Like you said, like defeated, where it's like you just keep trying all these different things and why does nothing stick? It's like recently someone said to me too, like, yeah, you throw the spaghetti at the wall and none of it's sticking and it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Um, let's see, which ones else I was gonna ask you on here. At first, when you first started dieting, like what did it give you? And then what did it slowly take away from you with trying to constantly diet?
So at first, it gives you hope that you might be able to look at yourself in the mirror and be happy with your image that you're seeing and the way you look. It took away this whole dieting thing for me. It's taken away my self-confidence, my self-esteem, and my dignity. I felt that people around me were always judging me, the way I looked, what I put in my mouth. Like if I put too much food on my plate and ate everything, everybody goes, "Well, that's why you're fat." And and I do it myself when I'm in a restaurant and I see an overweight person doing the same thing, right? And I've changed that aspect of myself is because I don't think people try to self-sabotage, but yeah, I literally hated myself and I just was so ashamed with the way I looked. And you gain that weight back and you just failure, another failure.
Yeah, and I think when we aren't set up with the proper tools that aren't like that extreme yo-yo, we fall back like what's a comfortable place for us. So we go back to what we know and that we feel comfortable with.
Yep. And that's food. Like you self-medicate with food,
Yeah.
right?
There's so many people and it can go so far one way where people are eating way too much food and then yeah, you have obesity and you have people like you said punishing the opposite direction where there's like the anorexia, bulimia side of things too, right? So
When you
there's
starve
again the
yourself, right?
extremes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. So next one I'm gonna do, I guess we kind of covered that too about how like your weight or body size affected you at how you saw yourself as a woman.
Yeah, and again, you do the failure, you give up on yourself, right? When things stop working. And I literally, honestly, was my own worst enemy. When it stopped working, I would say, well, if it doesn't work, I must eat well. I must eat whatever I want, when I want it, And as I mentioned many times already, it's just a circle. It's a vicious circle. You get into a loop that just never stops.
Yeah. And it's somehow finding that like disruption in that cycle to break it once and for all, but having the
Yeah.
right like steps and things in place to get yourself there, right?
And support systems, right?
Yeah.
You need that support from
Yeah.
somebody, whoever that is that comes into your life that helps you make that change.
Yeah. Accountability, community, and then also having like a few people recently that I've done is like only a few people that can speak over my life instead of having like this big circle of people trying to influence me. It's like, nope, I'm only going to allow these few people to have a say in what I'm doing, right? Because again, it's otherwise it's information overload when you have all
Oh,
these
yeah.
people telling you different things to try or do, and it just changes that cycle as well.
And because there's so many different diets or programs out there, right? People
Yeah.
think theirs is the best and you should do it this way. And then your mind just gets so confused as what you should be doing. And the thing is, what works for me may not work for somebody else.
No. That's why
And
you
and
can't. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
you have to find that you have to find the program or whatever healthy way you want to go that works for that person themselves. And like I said, what does for you or my husband may not work for me. So, because my metabolism is going to be different than yours or my husband's. So, and age, right, also plays into all
Yeah.
those factors.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors. And I actually recently just talked about this on my like Instagram about yeah, program hopping where you get a recommendation from a friend, so you go in there and you try that program, but it doesn't fit with your lifestyle or it's so extreme that you can't maintain it. Or like, yeah, there's so many different things out there and cookie cutter programs don't work for everybody. Like you said, age, if you have injuries, all your past history, like there's so many factors that come into play.
Exactly.
Do you ever feel like you had to earn confidence or your self-worth if you like had lost weight or worth smaller?
Absolutely, yes. I felt that if I could ever get the weight off, I would get my confidence back and finally be successful. I wasn't looking to others to give me praise that I was losing weight and I looked good. Sorry, I was looking for people to give me that praise and that I was looking good. But even when that happened, I doubted what they were saying and that they were being truthful to me. I just didn't believe that I could ever get to a weight that I would look good, feel good, and be happy in my own skin and in my own body. So that's what I'm working on today.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
And I think we kind of already covered that when we said like your identity and the labels that you kind of carried.
yeah,
So we kind of covered that one.
yeah.
And kind of this too, like you said, were there ever times like you would avoid going out to certain like functions, people, or things like to try or experience because of your body?
Yeah, I didn't think I could ever avoid people because people are everywhere. I did avoid wanting to be like in a bathing suit while on vacation. I thought people were gawking at me, looking at me like, look at that stomach, it's hanging over your bathing suit. So then I would put on a one piece instead of a two piece. And when shopping for new clothes, I would always buy a size larger so that I could hide what I was so disappointed in myself, right? But then that just adds even more volume to what you're trying to hide. So you even look bigger. So I just didn't want people to see what was underneath the clothing. Um, and that's not necessarily a good way to go about trying to become a healthier person, right? You
Yeah.
should wear tight clothes, I believe, so that you can see that maybe you need to get into the gym or change your eating habits. And then that shirt that was a little too tight a month ago might be looking better on you now. So, really, I've changed my outlook on that. And I don't always like the way I look in it, but it's a work in progress.
Yeah. And I think too that when we say like, oh, we're so worried about what everybody else is thinking, I think people are so into their own lives and what they're doing. I think we're more thinking about it, overthinking what they're thinking about us.
Yeah. Well, and like I was just on vacation, and you watch these women that maybe are men that do have a little bit of excess weight on them, and you stop looking at them that way because you don't want people looking at yourself that way. So if a person is overweight and is wearing a two-piece bathing suit, I look at them going, look at your self-confidence, look at you go. And I've really changed my mindset on how I look at people because I wouldn't want them doing that to me. And like you said, they probably aren't even looking at me. But,
Right? Yeah.
yeah. So different mindset a lot. And it's just been recently that this is all changed for me. So I'm looking forward to a new me.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to talk about that part too. But I think so
Okay,
many people hearing this, it's so relatable for so many moms and women and all the different things out there. And now with like social media and filters and all these things just changing the way people look, just being able to get back to like what raw is for me, like real authentic women, just being themselves, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Do you think diet culture has affected how you've shown up as a mom over the years?
This was a hard question, Tracy.
Okay.
And it's emotional for me now that I've actually had to answer it. And I'm going to read what I wrote because I think it'll be a little bit easier for me.
Okay.
I believe my yo-yo dieting throughout my life while raising my girls truly affected my eldest daughter. While she was in junior high school, she was wearing large baggy clothes to hide that she wasn't eating, and she became anorexic. She saw my weight struggles, and although I've never talked to her about it, I'm pretty sure that she never wanted to go down the path that I was traveling for so many years. With you, and again, we've never really discussed that, but I think you went down the path of a healthier person by going to the gym at a very young age, and you've always followed that path to this day. And I'm finally seeing that that is such a better path to go down. And I kind of beat myself up after writing this paragraph because I still look at our eldest daughter and I still feel that she struggles with that. And although I know she goes to the gym and she weighs her food and stuff, I still feel that she's not a healthy person in that aspect. But that's my opinion and nobody else's.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for sharing that and opening up and being vulnerable that way. Um, do you believe that some of these beliefs were passed down to you, whether they were intentional or not?
Um, yes and no. I was just recently away at a woman's retreat, and that same question kind of came up in my head. And um, what I discovered in that was my mom kind of controlled my food. I was a bit of a chunky kid. And so when my dad was absent from the dinner table because he was at courses and stuff like that, my mom would give me only so much on my plate. And then at nighttime, I was waking up and sneaking into the kitchen and self medicating myself because I hadn't eaten enough. So I felt that I had to sneak food. So I took the food, and do I believe that was passed down? No, I just think it's the way my mother treated me being a little bit overweight. She was probably trying to be kind, but it set me off in this path that I've now experienced for my life.
Yeah. And I
Hard question.
know, so you've had all like so many things in the last little while and stuff to reflect on. And you started to let go of like stricter rules, following certain things like doctors maybe have told you to do with your health and nutrition. And so moving more like into present today, you've had in the last little while a lot of changes going on for you. Where are you at now with like describing your relationship with food and your body and what you're working towards now?
Um, so what I wish I had known was that, like you said, the doctors back in 1986 or 84 just didn't know how to teach women to be healthy through their pregnancies. I now believe women are working out and their diets are better and they eat healthier than what we were taught. I just wish I'd been able to realize that it was up to me to make these decisions, not anybody else. And maybe it's just a more healthier way and then I wouldn't have lost my way and my self-confidence and self-respect, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I know there's like more questions we can dig deeper. I know we can do like part two of another one because this is like so good. I love it. Um, is there any final things now with like present day today that you wanted to discuss about like yeah, like what health means to you today outside of the scale and the number? and what you're choosing more of now in this season of your life.
Um, you didn't ask me that question. Um, I guess without going into what I've just recently experienced, I've had a complete mind reset. And um, we can go into it on another podcast, but I was away at a retreat, and that retreat has made me realize that only I can make the change.
Yeah.
You telling me what to do, my husband telling me what to do, or what everybody else, I made a choice 5 weeks ago, almost 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We'll get into it later, but I'm now working out 3 to 5 times a week. I'm eating not perfectly, but I'm trying to eat healthier. I've lost my sweet tooth, which is a very good thing for me because I love my candy and stuff like that. And I just am looking forward to becoming a stronger woman, more self respect, more self esteem, and self confidence. So, yes, I'm wearing tight clothes and I see the bulges, but I'm working on it. And that for me at my age, I'm doing it. And
Yeah.
I've always put it on the back burner and said it's never going to happen. Well, it's happening. And I'm proud of myself for finally getting there.
Yeah. And I'm so excited to do another episode with you to talk about the retreat we went on together because there's so
Yep.
much to dive into with that as well. We don't have enough time for it today, unfortunately, but we will record another episode. And yeah, I'm just loving seeing the growth that you're going through. And that's why I love having you on here because that's why it's called like, This Is Me, Speak Your Truth. And that's
Yep.
what we got out of you today. So I really appreciate you being here and being a guest. And until next time, we will do another episode.
Thank you. Thanks,
Okay.
Tracy.
Okay.
Take care. Yep.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.